Welcome back to Tax Talk with Hey Hey, where we offer simplified tax planning and mentorship to help 6 and 7-figure CEOs ditch the daily hustle by achieving financial independence from your business by increasing your purchasing power and diversifying your source of passive income. Through financial mentorship, realistic goal setting, and simplified tax planning, without having to hustle for the rest of your life, with the guarantee of the optimal roadmap to move you towards your desired time freedom.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here at Tax Talk with Hey Hey. I am your host, Suhey Piedra, and today I have the honor of having Maria. Is it Alvarez?
Alvarez, yes.
Alvarez. I like that Hispanic tone right there. Alvarez, you know? And I asked Maria to be here with us today. Just met her, but she just has this aura about her, about being la jefa, about being this, awesome woman. And I just want her to come on here and tell a little bit about, the industry she's in and all of that good stuff. But before we get started, Maria, can you please share with us a little bit about who you are on a personal level?
Yes.
Are you a mom, a daughter, a sister? Who is Maria?
That's interesting that you asked me that, because I actually was writing something this morning, and I'm all of the above, and a grandmother on top of everything else. So, so I was brought up in Mexico. I was raised by my grandmother in Mexico. I came to the United States when I was 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
The oldest of 5 brothers, and I took a lot of responsibilities at a very young age because mom wasn't in the picture. And I was the oldest, so I took the responsibility of helping my grandmother, my abuela, like I call her, help to raise my brothers. Yeah.
So you only have brothers?
I have 3 brothers and 1 sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And then what about kids? Do you have any kids?
Yes, I have 3 boys.
Okay.
They're grown. One is 29, married, and has 3 boys himself. So I'm a grandmother of 3 boys. And then I also have my 20-year-old. He is, I call him my soccer rock star. He's been playing since he was 4 years old, and he's full ride scholarship, and he's in University of San Bernardino.
Oh, awesome.
And my little one, which I call him, he's 16 going on 40, because he's the one that's going to give me white hair.
Old soul.
Old soul, but he's the smartest of all 3. Mm-hmm. So that's basically in a nutshell, and obviously my 3 grandkids that I just mentioned to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that when I was talking to Dennis, he was telling me that you used to sell jewelry or something like that. What was that all about?
Yeah. So when I was 20, it's interesting how I got this job. So when I was 20, in 1985, I'm gonna be 48 basically. One day I decided, it's true story. I decided I wanted a job. So one of my friends worked in downtown LA. Mm-hmm. So I got the bus and went to downtown LA. I'm like determined that I was going to find a job that day, and sure did, as a jeweler in the jewelry industry. And I was with them for 11 years of my life. I started just a delivery girl taking jewelry back and forth until I became their general sales manager and manufacturer. Wow. And the last 3 years of my and by the way, the jewelry store is it was high end. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, like I had clients like Joan Sebastian, rest in peace, the Golden State Warriors, the whole team were my clients. I got to meet Danny Trejo there, so, but the last 3 years of during my employment, I traveled for the company with over $3 million of jewelry. And like I said, it was high end. Uh-huh. I got to meet Shaquille O'Neal there. I sold him actually a bracelet. So, yeah, but I started one day just going to downtown LA and deciding that I was going to find a job, and I did.
But, I mean, that tells a story about who you are. I mean, it's, again, that entrepreneur mindset, mm-hmm. that hustler. Yeah. Like, we, sometimes identify as, we're not meant to be your everyday pushover or your everyday person who just kind of settles. Mm-hmm. You 11 years and you got to meet these amazing people traveling with this kind of jewelry. That tells me you have a drive.
Yes.
Am I right?
Absolutely. All day, every day. I tell people, some people tell me, you're driving us crazy right now. And I was like, it seems like a personal problem, but because this is not going to stop. So yeah, I do have a drive. I've always been that way. I was raised by a very strong woman, my grandmother, and there was no other choice. I mean, my first job was when I was 11 years old in a tortilleria in Mexico. And you know, I grew up with a very strong work ethic, you know, so I'm blessed that I have that, because as of today, I still do the same thing. Sometimes I want to take a day off, but I just don't know how. And it's interesting, you know, like sometimes I tell my people, like, I just want to disconnect and keep going, and I just can't, you know. So learning to delegate is one of my biggest challenges right now, you know, as I'm growing as an individual, as a professional. But I guess it will come with time, you know.
So you right now are in the commercial real estate industry, right? But before we go into that new journey, or I don't know how long you've been doing it for, you know, as of yet, but, you know, you talk about, you know, not being able to take that day off and all of that good stuff. When you were doing this jewelry thing, you're raising you're helping your abuela raise your brothers and sisters and all that. Like, what's your routine to keep all that energy going? And now that you have this real estate thing going on, like, how do you keep the energy going?
Well,
a drive.
The drive, I'm not gonna lie. There's days that I'm, you know, and I just shared this with someone the other day. I'm like, I get tired too. I'm human. I'm only human. But honestly, I'm very systematic, and I'm very like I wake up every day around 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
That's on a daily. First thing I do is open my eyes, thank the Lord from another day. I meditate a lot. I'm learning to meditate. It's kind of hard because I don't know how to stop the mind. But also at the same time, I'm up down there, like, with my book, having coffee. And by 6 o'clock in the morning, whether it's at home, because half of my garage is a gym that I built from. I remember my first piece of equipment was a 10-pounder. And now it's like, it's a full-blown gym that because I've always loved to work out. You know, in my family, there's a lot of athletic people. And that's my therapy. That's what I call. So by 6 in the morning, I'm already working out, whether it's running, cardio, and that itself to me is therapy. That itself to me is what keeps me going. What I get all this drive and adrenaline and whatever you want to call it, or the craziness, like everybody says. But that's one of my main things, you know. That's therapy for me. That and cooking. That's interesting because it's like when I'm in the kitchen cooking, it's like I forget about everything. Like I'm in the zone, if it makes any sense on what I'm saying. So those two things keep me going. And obviously my family, you know, overall, I mean, you know, I'm in this journey right now, and for the first time in my life, I'm doing things for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been in real estate?
I started in 2006.
Okay.
I came into this industry as a loan officer prior to an MLS. My significant other at that time, he was a realtor, so he was doing the real estate part of it, and I was doing the lending side. Although I had my real estate license all along, we just decided to do it that way. When we part ways in 2010 in our personal life, we also part ways on the business as a business partners. And then right there and then I started doing real estate full time.
Was you doing residential, or were you always in commercial?
No, I was residential. Actually, I came across commercial not too long ago. It was residential, but I came into starting doing regular real estate when the market had just crashed. There was a lot of short sales. At that time, I got an opportunity to become a listing agent for a short sale company in Beverly Hills. So all I did was short sales. I learned that, I had to get like certifications and whatnot, and I learned that. I got to learn. It's difficult. They were difficult at the time because I don't think, you know, the system was ready for what happened back then, and the complexity of it was really hard. The systems were not in place, but it was challenging. And now I'm comparing it to today in commercial, and it's kind of the same. It's kind of interesting. Like me gusta like los problemas. No, I wouldn't say los problemas, but I was like, why do I like this? This is difficult. It's not easy because even in commercial, every case is different, and that's just the way it was with short sales back then. Every case was different. Every family had a different type of hardship.
Yeah.
But I've learned them. Like I like to today. That lingo is like, I know it all. I wouldn't say all. Let me rephrase that. But I know my stuff. If it makes any sense. Yeah, I know the legalities, the ins and outs. It's kind of like a loan, you know. You just have to figure it out and think outside the box sometimes. But you always have to benefit the homeowner, which is the main purpose.
But what I'm hearing is this background that you have is also who makes you so great at your job today, right? I mean, those short sales were different scenarios, different cases. you know, and here you are getting certifications, learning all this stuff, and look who you are today. Right. So that like kind of shaped this person.
It did, and you know, not a lot of people know this, but I'm like, you know, I've always been a straight A student. I'm like a nerd in Mexico, puros dieces, like everything was diez. I mean, you know, little backstory. I remember the first time that I came home with a 6 in Mexico. They actually clap at me, my grandma and my uncle, which one was my father figure, because they're like, you're normal, and I was like, I was so worried about it, but you know, it's always been that way. I was actually advanced 2 years. When I came here, I was already in my first year of university. I've always been all about studying. I'm always been about knowing new stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go into paralegal school pretty soon just because it's one of my biggest passions. And I find it very, very interesting. And that would just complement what I'm doing, you know, as a whole on my career. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of people know that about me, but it's just fun to learn stuff and why. And you know, interesting enough, like, you know, I wanted to learn marketing or do marketing at a different level, and I just couldn't afford to pay somebody to do it for me. So I went and took a class and started doing it myself. So that's just who I am as a person, as a whole. Like, I feel like nothing's going to stop me from doing what I want or getting what I want, you know, as long as I don't hurt anybody on the way, you know, that's key for me. But that's who I am. I just like learning stuff.
That's, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned, like, you know, you have this business, and whatever you need, if you have to learn it, then you learn it and you do it, right?
Yeah.
Or if you can hire somebody to do it, great. But if not, it's still going to get done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's just, again, I like to point that out with entrepreneurs. It's like, somehow, yes, we can do it all. Doesn't mean we want to or we should all of the time, especially as we begin to grow. It's easier to start to delegate things, right? So we become the specialist in that one thing that we want. But doesn't mean we can't figure it out. That's one thing entrepreneurs are so good at, is we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree with you. It's just like, there's no stopping me. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that I'll figure it out. I'll make phone calls. You know, even with clients sometimes, if I don't know the answer, I'm like, let me get back to you. But I'll get back to that particular client and make my phone calls. You know, right now, like, I'm going through the process of building my own company, and you know, I need to hire an ISA, inside sales agent, and I just didn't know what the pay structure should be and whatnot. And here I am texting a friend, like, hey, what do I do? How do I hire them? And they're telling me, you know, because at the end of the day, these are the people that I surround myself with.
Yeah.
You know, the people that want to help you really grow and stuff. So, but like I said, I will ask. I'm not afraid to ask. Like, one thing about me, and you get to know me, no me da vergüenza nada. Like, I go for it. Like, I'm like, what's the worst they can tell me? No. Okay. Or I don't know. Or go F yourself, or go somewhere else. Or I just don't care. Like, it's there's no stopping me, if it makes any sense.
No, it does. And like I said, when you know, I met you at that mixer that you had and all that, but every conversation we had about who this person was, it was, you know, you as this alpha female in this industry of commercial. I'm not very familiar with commercial, but I do know it's more male dominated. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Why would you choose that challenge?
It wasn't so much the challenge. I just, you know, when I came across about it, you know, and I asked myself the same question, you know, because it's kind of like you're swimming with sharks with blood in the water, right? So, but it's fun. Yeah. It's fun. I like it because it's kind of like a short sale in a way, and I'm not compared to each other because, you know, every case is different. You're not going to sell a commercial warehouse the same thing you're going to sell a restaurant, or you're going to lease, you know, or look for a lease for somebody. But it was very challenging. It's been very challenging on many ways, shapes, or forms. But I just felt like, you know, I started seeing how I started doing numbers. So prior to starting real estate again full time, I worked for, I was a marketing operations manager for a division. So I'm a numbers person. You know, I do my homework. So I started doing homework on commercial, and I started seeing that there's not a lot of females that do it. And I was like, why? You know, so then little by little started learning the whys of not. So I was like, why not empower women to do it? You know, why not start a group of women that I can actually empower them? And you'll get to know me. I like to lead from the front. I like to learn stuff. So I was like, let me learn as much as I can. Let me teach them that they can make this money. And that's how the commercial group, the woman-female group that I lead, it came about.
Yeah.
Just because for me, I genuinely want to help people make more money.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I said it on my lounge as well. I was like, we all gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's my goal. Like, you know, for us to empower each other. As it
Kudos
is.
to you. I mean, that's to me, you know, something that when I saw you go up there and talk about it, and then I was like, who is this? You know, where am I at? Like, what are we celebrating here? And then Lupita and everybody were telling me and stuff, and I was like, man, like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Wow, because the industry, right? The industry is one thing, but the other thing is, and you're intimidating. You are this powerhouse, right? But I also find that when you're leading a group of other women, there's a lot of alpha women in the group. How do you handle all of that and make us all like get along and not see you as, you know, I don't want to say the word, but you know, a bitch. How do you handle us all getting along when women tend to have the biggest competition against each other?
You know, and it is unfortunate, and you know, now that you mentioned that, it is unfortunate because not everybody's gonna be on the same page as you. Not everybody's gonna have the same vision as you. First of all, and unfortunately, there's a lot of women out there that unfortunately they're you know, they're woman haters.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with men. But with the group, I tend to surround myself with people that are gonna empower me. And to answer your question, like I said, I lead from the front, but I also lead with a lot of respect.
Yeah.
With a lot of respect, and you know, I listen and I hear. I do have a very strong personality, but then again, I go back to respect. To me, that's key, and that's basically it. You know what I mean? And not everybody's gonna be for you, and not everybody's gonna be okay with you, and not everybody's gonna have the same goals as you, and that's understandable, and that's respectfully understandable. But at the same time, like, don't get on my way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Well, when some of the other ladies were up there talking about you, I heard that the respect, the value that you bring and that they share with you. You know what I mean? And I think that helps when you surround yourself. I mean, I've always had the same problem. You know, I have good friends, but I don't have a lot of friends. Right? And I've always found it because it's hard to keep those relationships because I'm not going to be the fake one. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like honest, but I'll accept that the same back. You know, if you're going to tell me something, I'll value your opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? But not everybody has that level of respect for each other to accept that and take it back. And unfortunately, I see that a lot in women in general. Do you know what I mean? It's like we look at other women and instead of saying, man, what is she doing? Because I want to do that. It's more like talk smack, or you don't want to associate yourself with them. And it's like, why do we have to see each other as that competition instead of seeing each other as partners?
Yeah. You know what? I mean, once again, you're not going to be for everybody, right? Unfortunately, there is people that are, I have a saying, I always say it, and people take it as a joke, you know, eagles don't fly with chickens.
Yeah.
You know, and not everybody's going to be at the same level, you know, and some people, unfortunately, they're pushovers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one to always accept if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
If I ever offended you in any way, shape, or form, I'll come at you and apologize. And not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's a lot of females, unfortunately, that are also like, they can mop the floor with them if they allowed them, you know, and I'm just not one of those person. I never been. I have to grow up really fast, and I have to figure out things out on my own at a very young age, and I have to be the lead and the head of household at home. So I was brought up by a very strong woman, but at the same time, she really raised me with like my core values are like really, really like it was if grandma was talking, like I couldn't interrupt. Like if grandma was talking, or if she was with someone and I came in the room and I didn't say buenas tardes, buenos días, cómo están, oh God, you know what I mean? So I was brought up that way, and you know, and it comes, I believe it comes from that. You know, it comes from the way you were brought up. You know, and I was lucky, blessed to have a very strong, you know, woman. I've told people like, I'm strong, but esa señora I was like, oh no,
old school,
like, why are you crying, you know, and stuff like that. But you know what, going back to what we just were talking about, you know, it is unfortunate that a lot of women they're pushovers.
Well, look, I admire what you're doing. Not only are you trying to build this, you know, industry for women to, you know, to help take over, because they will. And, you know, and, you know, dealing with, you know, the male industry, but also, like I said, this relationship that we have with women. So, but I definitely see you as a person that's going to be capable of doing both, you know, is handling the male industry, but then also helping the women respect each other and be a powerhouse. Because I think that's all women need sometimes, is to be able to get along with each other, and we could take over.
Yes.
Right? Because we can multitask. We can do so many things that, I'm sorry guys, that you guys can't do.
No, I agree with you. But you know what's interesting though, in my case, I build stuff. I've always been a builder. I've always been a team lead, or, you know, and it's always been with men. It's interesting. You know, as a matter of fact, I started, you know, in an organization. I started my own chapter here in the San Gabriel Valley area. And it was 6 guys and me.
Really?
And that's where the nickname of La Jefa came about, you know. It's just because I was like, ándale cabrones, órale. And so I told them I used to be your pimp. And they can attest to it. And we joke around. I mean, we have friendships. Like, you know, that was 2014. And to this day, we're friends. And they're like, hey, Maria used to pimp us. I'm like, yeah. Like, seriously, dude, I was there. But, you know, raised, you know, my 3 uncles, my 3 brothers, my 3 kids, my 3 grandsons now. So it's interesting how life has taken me on that pattern.
Yeah, it was natural to you.
It is natural. Like my brothers call me bro. You know, they don't call me Lourdes or Maria. Or, you know, at home everybody calls me by my middle name. My loved ones call me by my middle name, which is Lourdes. But at home they call me bro. Like, you know, it's just interesting, you know, and it's just one of those things that it's just me ha dado en la vida. Like, esa es la manera que vienen las cosas, and you know, I embrace it, and it comes hand in hand with commercial real estate today. You know, because it's hard. It's hard out there. You know, so unfortunately, there is a lot of people in the commercial world is not as regulated as, you know, as regular real estate. So there is a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Unethical people. You know, that would do business out there and stuff. And since it's not regulated as much, but at the same time, as long as I carry myself, to me, is how I carry. Yes, I do. And morals and ethical stuff, and you know, as long as I carry myself and I know that I'm conducting business the right way, I mean, things can happen, and it's okay.
And I think that happens in all industries. I mean, you know, it just it goes back to your values, right? Absolutely. So that's awesome. But you know, you telling your story and all that, it sounds like that's where a lot of your work ethic comes from. But do you have a mentor, business coach, or do you read? What keeps that mentality, that mindset of the hustler going?
Yeah, I actually, it's just funny because I just finished this book. It's called When the Black Sheep of the Family Becomes the Goat. You know, it's a very interesting book. Really? I just finished reading it, yes. And I have a life coach. He's from Mexico. His name is Diego, and I waited 2 years to get into his group, and finally 6 months ago, I was able to get in. And he calls me stupida when he gets mad at me, but it's okay. But because he coaches me in Spanish, and you know, it's just life. It's just the reality of things. You know, I went through a really bad and traumatizing situation in our family. One of my brothers unfortunately lost his life to depression, and that changed my life completely. That when the way I was conducting business, the way everything went the other way, and I've been able to somehow heal because of all the coaching and whatnot. I just I'm actually getting into Tom Ferry Elite System. I'm building a team right now. It's been 3 weeks. I went in a recruiting mode, and I have 11 agents that are working under, you know, me as on the residential side of things. I am leading the commercial side of the business. I started my own business on August 1st. I have 5 channels, so I'm a full-blown, real estate office. You know, I am the team lead. I am the sole owner of my company. So there's a lot on my plate right now. And I took the conscious decision of picking up the phone and said, I need help, you know, because I need to be guided. And one of the things that they interview me and say, how can we help you, you know? And then I told them everything I was doing. And even when I told them at that point, I had like 9 agents when I interviewed with them. And Matthew, that's his name, and he's like, how? And like, in 2 weeks? I'm like, yeah, in 2 weeks. And then I was a recruiter for Remax. and I took prospecting school for recruiting. So it comes natural.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's kind of like the lingo of talking, in regards to lending or short sales and stuff. It comes natural.
Yeah.
So it's really easy for me. Plus, I think I'm a people's person, regardless of how strong I can be. So it's just nice. And you know what I like about it? That most of my recruits have only been 1 year in the industry. I have one that's been in the industry for 2 weeks.
Wow.
So for me, it excites me. I guess sharing my knowledge and teaching them what I know.
Now you're the mentor, right?
I am the mentor now. But going back to me, I have to hire a coach because one of my biggest downfalls, because you have to look within yourself and see how can I grow even more, delegating.
Yeah.
That's huge for me. It's not that I'm not a control freak, but I like
we
to
are.
be. Sort of, kind of. I am. For me, delegating is gonna be one of the biggest, because they asked me what I say. Okay, on the business side aspect of things, what do you want to work on? And I told them, and I've always been a beast at open houses. Every time I turn up the switch that I want to produce is open houses and door knocking.
Yeah.
I'm great. Like if I sit across the table from a seller, close on them, I walk out of my office 99% of the time with my listings, but do not hang up the phone on me.
Yeah.
Because if it's for recruiting, or if it's for listings on, maybe because I know the lingo, maybe because it's easy for me. But if I'm calling a regular seller, I'm like, and they have it on the phone, and I'm like, so that's one of the biggest things business-wise, because I am going to be the listing agent in our group, and I just want to make sure that, I'm there. Because it's interesting, because I told my broker a record now the other day, and I said, I finally found the missing piece to the puzzle. I'm like, I need to learn my scripts. I've just never been scripted. It flows like right here, you and I. But that's part of it. And then as a business owner, it's just the delegating part of things.
Yeah.
They let go. And I told them one of my goals is to, like, I don't care if the world's crumbling, if an escrow went to shit, a transaction that I'm just not going to care, and I'm not going to pick up the phone. And that's a goal for me.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take time, and I know it, because I can pinpoint where the problem's at, and I wouldn't call it a problem. But yeah. That's it. That's why I hire a coach, a personal coach. Yeah.
Maria, I admire about you. Not all entrepreneurs can say what their problem is, can face it and say, I'm going to challenge it, right? Business owner myself, I could tell you a couple years ago, I had the same challenge of, wanting to do everything, right? And yes, I had to be coached on the idea of someone else doing things for me, and then cringing when I'd see emails go out, or the way the phone was being answered, because that's not how I wanted it. But I had to let go, right? In order for the business to grow, I had to let go,
right?
And accept that it doesn't have to be perfect, right? As long as it's at what they say, 80% of, what you want it to be, like, that's good enough, But I had to live with that, and it was hard. But, gosh, it feels so good not to have to do everything.
Thank you for letting me know. That gives me hope. I hope so. I hope I can. No, you know what? Honestly, you have to surround yourself. You have to surround yourself with people that are like-minded.
Yes, for
They're
sure.
like, they know your systems. They know, I had in 2016 to 2019, I had a buyer's agent, and she's here with me today. And she knows how I am. She knows my counters. She knows how I like to, structure things and stuff like that. I'm very systematic. When I was working for this lending company that I told you, we oversaw 62 people. Yeah. 62 loan officers, 9 processors, 3 openers. My nickname there became the bulldog, or the gatekeeper, because I became so systematic. Like the person I work for, she was very systematic herself. So I learned a lot from her, and today I can tell you, like, that's helping me a lot. Yeah. Because I know how to structure spreadsheets, and I have spreadsheets for everything. Yeah. And that's helping me a lot. It's just teaching or mentoring people that are gonna be working with me to do it them right. too. You know what I mean? Because I need to have eyes on it. Even if I'm not involved, I just want to see what's going on, because okay, like the other day there was a file that we needed to do something, And because of my background in lending and stuff like that, well, I was like, well, do an LOA, an LOE, and yada, yada, and restructure it this way. Well, because I have that experience.
Right.
You know, so
that's what makes
it comes
you
in
great.
handy.
Yeah.
It comes in handy, believe it or not, sometimes. So, or the typical when a file was falling through the cracks and the seller, for whatever reason, the buyer or the seller, like, you know, they're like on the fence, I'm the one that places those calls.
Yeah.
And I am the one. And then even, you know, my partner, she was telling me, how? She said no to me 100 times. I mean, how? I was like, it's a gift.
Yeah. And but it really is, right?
It is.
Really
it is. Actually, it is. I connect with people. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like if you ever, you know, more than welcome to go and host an open house with me. It's like, I make conversation with people. I'm not scripted. I just let it flow. And before they leave the open house, I already know why they bought their house, why they're selling it, all of that about. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know if I think it's a gift, to be honest with you.
No, I think it is. And that's why also, you know, you're great at what you do, you know, and that's why I think that the challenge that you're faced with today is exactly why, because you're going to be the one that's going to set this, you know, change this industry.
Right.
So, again, kudos to you. I admire what you're doing. It doesn't take a week or not, I don't want to say week, but an unexperienced person to do what you're trying to do. You know, you've been in the industry, your background, your upbringing, you know, the challenges you've had in life are only the stepping stones you need to get to where you're going. So I admire that.
Thanks.
You're doing a great job. To all our listeners out there, you know, our audience, what kind of message would you give out to other women, you know, to inspire them or to let them know, I mean, it's not easy what you're doing, you know, but not to give up, you know?
Yeah, you know, just a month ago, it changed my life. I can say it today because I had walking pneumonia. And I'm the type of person that I've always been a workaholic, right? So I came to the realization that I was like literally like in bed, like dying from pneumonia. Like my lungs were hot water and stuff like that. And for the first time in my life, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for me.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to step back and look at yourself from the outside if you can. And just, you know, if we're not okay as women, as mothers, as daughters, as whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you do in life, how much money you have. If you're not healthy and you don't act on for you, no one in your family is going to be around you. Yeah. And then I always tell people, I am not a doormat. No one steps all over me. Yeah. You know, so that's one of the things too that I have learned. I'm going through, you know, I started PSI. I don't know if you know, it's like, it's you know, it's a self-development program that I just started. I'm going to the next level, God willing, in October. You know, so I'm doing these things for me. Yeah. You know, and that's what I tell people, like, as a mother, because think about it, if you're not okay, your kids are not going to be okay. Right. Nobody in your household will be okay. Yeah. Because, like it or not, we lead the household.
But we're taught that that's selfish. You know, I had to deal with that. I you know, I relate to that. I had to go through that, you know, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I was going through a divorce, but I had to stop. And I had to do things for myself, right? But there was this little guilt voice telling me that's so selfish, right? But
you shut up. Tell them that.
Well, I had to learn. I had to learn that it wasn't selfish, that it was literally without my well-being, without me being the strong individual, then nobody was, right? And without me stepping up into who I really am, then my kids were not okay. My family was not okay. The business was not okay. But it was a little bit of a journey to learn that it's not selfish. It's self-care. Yeah. It's really putting yourself first so that you can turn around and help others.
You know what? And I'm a true testament right now of that, because I've been called selfish, even by my own family. All she cares is about herself. Yeah. But you know what? It's been 47 years that I care about everybody else. Yeah. And it's time for me to do it for me and to do it for myself. I owe it to myself. Yeah. And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. Even if people look at you like, oh, she's being a selfish, da-da-da-da. Yeah. Well, it seems like a personal problem, and that's your opinion, you know? So that's the way I think. I'm not a snob. I've never been one. I'm very humble. I'm very like you'll get to know me. Like if I have something that you need and I can give it to you, I will give it to you.
Yeah.
But don't cross me.
Right.
Do not cross me because that things. But it's just one of those things that I at this point in time in my life, I can truly say for the first time in my life, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
For me. And, a lot of people have the misconception of the 50-50, mi media naranja. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, men out there, but it's the truth because at the end of the day, if I'm not whole as a whole on my own,
yeah.
And I've told, like, I'm single, so it's even more difficult to find somebody that can understand you at that level because I'm doing things for me.
Yeah.
And either you're going to compliment me and come into my life and make me better.
Yeah.
Or chop chop. Like,
but I think that's a new word. I've had to learn that. You want someone to compliment you. You don't need somebody. These alpha women don't necessarily need to have a man by their side, but they want somebody to compliment them, right? To support them and to make you that bigger, better person, right? Not to say that, maybe when you first find this love of your life or whatever, that they're not that person. You guys can grow together for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also a challenge that, that comes along with everything is finding somebody that truly complements your strong personality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I joke around a lot now, before I used to judge myself for that. And I tell people, like, I collect husbands for a living versus and husband. I've been married twice and had a long-term relationship and whatnot. But at the same time, I'm very clear what I want. My vision is crystal clear. I do want to have a significant other, eventually find them and have somebody that can understand where I'm going and that we can go together and travel that path together and grow old together. Right. You know what I mean? But if you're not going to be that person or you're going to come and try to stop me or tell me what to do or you're going to try to treat me like a little trophy, that's not going to work for me. Yeah. Period. You either compliment me and uplifting, and I'll uplift you at the same time because I'm pretty sure we all have our weaknesses, and I'm pretty sure that that's why we can compliment each other. But this journey today is for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate that you took the time. I know you're a busy woman, and I know that you have, your open house. You've got all this stuff going on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and to, deliver that message to empower other women, other entrepreneurs, because I always say the journey to entrepreneurship sometimes feels lonely, right? Sometimes it feels like no one understands you, but yet we're all facing the same problems. We're all going through the same struggles. It's just we're not taught to share. It seems like we carry this burden on our own, but yet when you talk to other people and you network with other people that are like-minded, they're going through the same struggles that you are. Yeah. Some of them have, more time ahead of you, which you can, that's who I like to follow. Those are sometimes really good mentors because they've already done what I'm going through. And I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I'm following the right footsteps, or maybe you can be the mentor to somebody else that's just getting started in the industry. So I want to just say thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And but tell our audience where they can find you, what platforms they can follow to get a hold of you.
Basically, mainly the business page is Empower and Exclusive Realty. I'm actually having my grand opening tomorrow. I'm really excited about this, and it's a huge stepping stone. Not a stepping stone, I mean a milestone in my life. and sometimes I do say a stepping stone because I was telling the team the other day, my office it's not as big as I would love to be right now, but it's in the right place where it needed to be. And I said, you mark my words, by next year, by my birthday, we're gonna have that one with the windows through the street. And they're looking at me like, "Estás tan loca." Yeah. Like, ¿qué le picó? Like, no, but it's gonna get done. Like, it period. Will. It will get done. And other things too that I tend to lead with a lot of empathy. One of the biggest ones that I follow, and I will forever be his greatest fan, is Gary B. Because of who he is, whatnot. But he is one of the most simple, humble shit talkers in the world, just like me, because I love to talk. I'll talk smack. I'm trying to be nice today here, but I haven't seen the one F word, which is interesting. I was thinking of grandma and her matamoscas on my head when I used to say bad words. So with that being said, it's just do things for you.
Yeah.
You know, and because at the end of the day, your kids, your grandkids, or whomever's in your life, if you're not okay, they won't be okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest messages and the takeaway that if I'm going to say it today, you know, I saw it firsthand a month ago where I was like I couldn't breathe. My oxygen levels were really low.
Yeah.
And for the first time in a very long time, I was scared for my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, nope. I'm getting out of this one, and you know, and
it's
soy
a
muy
message.
terca. And I'm soy muy terca. I'm like very stubborn in a way, in my own ways. But here we are.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, for me tomorrow, opening my, you know, and having the people that love me, because it was by and by. I sent it to Adrian actually, and you know, it's huge for me. You know, I've invested everything and anything that I have in this, but I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And it's worth
that's
it.
awesome.
And it's worth the effort, and it's worth the sacrifice. Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, like she said, mark her words, you know, she's only going to get to bigger and better places. So we're, you know, excited to follow you. And again, thank you for being here.
Thank
really
you.
do appreciate it. And again, audience, where you guys can follow us, please follow our social media, Instagram, prominence.services, or our website is prominencebusiness.com. Thank you again, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
So if your mindset is ready to excel to the next level and you want to give up the multiple hats to a business who will support you, then schedule a call with us today. We can be reached at 626-825-8249. Please give us a review and share us with your friends and family.